Okay. I think I got distracted by a friend of mine, so I think I've identified all these guys. So what I need to do now is to start naming them. I think with this we can power. Excuse me. Let's see if I can. Okay, let's start from. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there is anything else I could do. Number one is the main panel. So let me just see. Let me see. The way I like doing it, US politics. So let's call this project US politics. Header body. Okay, so I think my main root component let's call it UX. Our main root components, let's call it US politics component. So this will be my root component. Let's call it US, or should you call it, let's just call it root component. So our main root component, or should we just call it let's just call it root component, because if I just want it to be a bit standardized. So this is my root component. My number one is the root component. Then I have the header. I have the main header. I have the because I have the header, I have the body. So I have the header. Number two is the header, and number three is the body. So what I will do is to come over here. So this training is also part of making use of mind map. So to add a leaf, I just add a topic, add this guy. So I have this will be my header component, and then this will be my body component. So this is my header component. Let's darken this, and this is my body component. So the header component is number 2, and the body component is number 3. So I think that is it for now. So within the body component, what do we have? So let's just see if we can tidy up the header. Notice that within the header we have three within the header we have 3 additional components wrapped inside the header. This is 1, 2, and 3. So how do I name them? So I could just call this the header top, the top part of the header, the middle part of the header, and the bottom part of the header. I think it makes things a lot easier. So if I come within the header component, let's bring this way. If I come within the header component, I will add additional subfolders. I'll add 3 subfolders. I will call this is the header top, or the top component. So within the header I will have the top component. Let's remove this header just to make, I don't want this thing to be too long. I have the top component within the header, then I have the middle component, then I have the bottom component. So within the header I have the top component, the middle part, the middle section, on the bottom component, or top section, middle section, or just to, we can just call this section, we can just add section to, or let's just leave it that way, so that let's just leave it that way, because I don't want this to be messy, so So the top, the in numbering, the top is number 23, then the middle is number 22, then the bottom is number 21. So that is it. So within the top, I have within the top I have like the user profile component. Then I have this public channel. I have navigate public channel. This is just navigation entity. So we have navigation bar. I will call this navigation bar and then call this user profile. So 24 is navigation bar and 28 is user profile, and they are all within the top component of this header component. That's the way we compose it. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm taking all this and transferring everything to my mind map. That will make make the work a lot easier. So within the top I have two additional components. So this is the user profile component, and then this is my nav bar component. That thing is for navigation, nav bar component. You can decide not to add component to it, or you can decide, but this I like adding component to my, just to make sure to make everything look professional, you know. So that is the another thing I could do is another, because I can within my mind map. So another thing I can do is that, within my mind map, I can add notes, I can add hyper notes to it. So what I can do within this place is just to add the numbers. I can add concept draw number to show the number that represent each of these. Concept draw number. So what is the concept draw number for this particular root component? It is 1. So the concept draw number is 1. Let's highlight this further. So it will allow you to see, what this allows you to do is to see the number associated with this, so that so that if you come to this diagram, you can easily use the number to know, okay, for number 1 it is the whole of this, for number 2 it is the header, for number 3 it is the body. So that is the way to do it, to make things a lot easier. If you have any additional notes as well, you can add notes to it. Like if this diagram, if I post this diagram, if I'm doing this diagram on, let's say, Adobe XD or Sketch or Zeppelin or InVision, if I'm doing all this thing in a collaborative environment, then I could add the links to those environment here. So that is the way to go about this. You see, so on the header is number 2, then body is number 3. So that is the way you look at it. So if I just click on this note, I could see what. So I like buying tools that will help me provide better services for my clients. So that's why I bought this concept draw map. And it helps me arrange things properly and make my thinking clear and clean. So with this concept draw map, now I can just go straight to implementing the React component or Angular component. So I think that is it for. So the top is okay. So that is just the way to identify all these numbers. Let's see if I can get the number for the top. So what will happen is that I will move this particular drawing to this other part, just to expose, to then allow me to expose only this. Will allow me to expose only the mind map, so that you can see the mind map, and it will make, I have 2 screens. So because that's, like I said in one of my training, having 2 screens increases your productivity. You can see that I have this, I'm moving this particular I'm moving this particular application that holds the diagram to the other screen, you see. And then on this screen I have my what is it called, I have my mind map. So for the top is number 23, the middle is number 22, and the bottom is number 21. So this guy we have number 23, and then this guy we have number 22, and this guy we have number 21, you see. So then the user profile has number 28, while the other section has 24. So this is number 28. Then this guy is number 24. You see. So that's the way I like doing things. You know, if I'm doing this training, I'm shooting this video for an audience. If I'm not doing this for an audience, I might just decide not to number it, because I know exactly where everything lies. So coming to the middle section, we have the UX politics section, and then another thing I could do is within this middle, we have two additional. Within this middle component, we have two additional component as well. That is, within this is the middle component. Number 22 is the middle component. That is this, and within this middle component, we have this component and this component. So how? Let me name these. What do I name? What do I? US politics. US politics is for estimates around US politics. It does not cover other interesting things. I'm trying to generate a name for this, but let's create question and leave channel. This could be, what do I'm trying to what I generally like to do is, what I generally like to do is, if I'm not able to generate a name for any component, I just use the location of the component as the name. Like I can say within this middle component, I have the left section and the right section. That is another easy way I like going about this. So within this middle component, I have two additional components. So this is the within this. So this is the right section component, because I can't easily think out a name for the component. So I have the right section component and then the left section component. So I like to highlight, I like to like darken this up. So that is the way. And the why, like I said, why I've decided to use, if I can easily find a thematic name, if I can find a thematic name for this guy, I would have used the name. But for now, I can't seem to arrive at a name. So I've decided to use the location of this to identify the names. Like if you're talking about the left section of the panel, you're talking about this area. Then if you're talking about the right section, you're talking about this component. So, and this has 26 and then 27 as numbers. So I come over here, I will give this will be my 26, number 26. and then this will be my number 27. So that is the way I like doing it. That's the way I like to arrange my work and make my work to be clean, so that if somebody else is you working on the application, it becomes a lot easier. So now this guy does not really have any additional component within it. So we now move our attention to this bottom part of the application. And then within the bottom part of the application, notice that we have, within the body of the application, we have the main panel. We can call this the main panel, and this the right panel. So that is another way to put it. I can have this as my main panel, and the right panel, and then the footer panel, or the footer component. So I have main panel, because I already call this within the body. So I can call either main panel or the main section, and then the right section, or then the footer. So this my main section of the body, and then this is the right section of the body. This is the right section of the body, and then we have the footer. So what that implies is, and this is 16 16 and 4, and then 12. So I have 3. So within this bottom, no, okay, this does not, within this body, another thing you can do, let me rearrange these guys and see. Yeah, another thing we can do is another thing I like doing is to move this. I can decide to move this into I'm not doing mind map tutorial. I can decide to move this into send to a new page. So I can decide if all these guys start becoming very complicated, I just send this guy to a new page. So within the body, we have 3 components, and I've identified the first one as the main section. Main section component. Then we have the right section component, and then we have the footer component. So that's the way to do it. Then here you can easily, yeah, so I think that's the way to do it. So I have the main section component, the right section component, and the footer section component. So if I come to this hypernote, I just want to make sure I'm getting the number straight. So this is 16. This is 4. 4, not 14. This is 4. And this is 12. So I've identified all these components. So yeah, I've identified these components. So I think this is getting complicated now. So what I can do is I will just move this guy to send to a new page. So once I've sent that to a new page, I think we have a problem here. Okay. No, we don't have any problem. This is just this page. So I'll move this back. I can decide to move, because this seems to, okay, so what I can do is to also move this to a new page. Send to a new page. So I have it in a new page. So I have this now. This is the way it looks, very straightforward. So I can decide to arrange these guys radially just to create enough space for me. So yeah, within my main, okay, let's do the footer. Let's look at the footer and see, because the footer, so within the footer we have the, as you can see, within the footer, this is the footer, Then within the footer, we have a component that is to the left and another component that is to the right. So, like I said, okay, this is the copyright. This is the copyright, and this is the footer navigation. This is the copyright and footer nav. So since I can easily, this is for copyright, this is for navigation, so I can say this is the copyright component, and then this is the footer navigation nav component. Yeah, so that's the way to, to name some of these things. So here we call this my copyright component, and then here I call this my nav component. Excuse me, I have code somehow. So I think that is it. So what I can do is to also remember to get the number, because if the number, this is number 14 and this is number 13. So I move over to here, get this guy, call this number 13, 14, and this guy number 13. Yeah, so I think that is it. So within, okay, we are done with the footer. Then if we come to then we come to, let's do the right section, because the right section seems to be a lot easier. That's the right component. That's within this component 4. We have topper. We have a, within this component 4, we have the services component. This is the component that that houses all the whole component, or all the whole. This services component handles the top section of this. Then this admin panel handles all this. So I can call this service panel and admin panel, because this is for admin, as you can see the name admin, and then this is for service or series, not service. So this this component talks about all the series, and then this component talks about the admins. So what I can do is that I can come over here within my right section. I can identify 2 component. This we call this series component. I can call it series panel component. Series panel component. Then this, I will call this one admin panel component. Just working very hard. He's working very hard. He's just walking. I didn't know I was recording. I didn't know I was doing this recording. Sorry. Okay, so within the within the series panel, we can easily identify the header and the body. It's just simple. This is the header. This is the header. This is the header, and this is the body, and this is the panel item. So that's the way I like doing it. So within the series, I have 2. So I have the header, the series header panel. You can call it series header panel component. And then here you can call the series body, or with Oh, let's just remove this panel because there's no, I don't want the thing to be too long. I don't generally don't like because I'm having component again and I don't just want this. This is the series, this is the series component, this is the series header, this is the series body component. So within the series header, this is the series. Within the series header, do you have any? No. But within the series body, we now have the series item. This is the series item now. This is the series item. So all these guys are the series item. So and all these guys are within the series body. The series item is within the series body. So what I will do is I'll come over to the series body. This is the series body. I'll add another component and call this component series item component. This is the series item component. So this, you see, within the series component, we have the series header and the series body. Then within the series body, we have the series item. So remember that within the series body, I'll be looping through all my series data to create this series item. That's why we have all these items, all these identical, like I said, all these are just identical items. So in React or in Angular on Vue, it will just be one component that you are going to loop. You are going to loop through. You use one component and loop through it. Will get you all the series data as an array. Then you loop through those array to create all these components. That is just it. So within this is the admin section. Within the admin section as well, we have the header. This is the header, and then this is the body. Then we have the admin item, the same structure we use for the series. So without any, so like I said, let's just remove this panel so that I don't want this thing to be too long. So here we have the admin header. Admin, is it header? Yeah, admin header component. This is the admin body component. So within the admin body component, we have the admin item. So that's the way I like doing it. So yeah, this is what we have. Have this just clean, and this is the way you compose. This is what we call component composition. Like if you see this right section is composed of the series component. This right section component is composed of the series component and the admin component. Then this series component is composed of the series header component and the series body component. Then the series body component is made up of all the whole series items. You see, that's generally the way I like doing it. The same thing is applicable to this place as well. You see. So having done that, what else can I do? What I can do is to label these guys, because I would like to do the labeling. I don't want this to. I would like to do the labeling. I'll move this to the other screen. So this is 5 and this is 7. So this is 5, number 5, and this is number 7. So within the series component, we have the series header. Okay, the series header, I didn't name the series header, but the series body is number 6. I didn't name the header and the item because of the space. So let's just call this 6. And then for this guy, the series body is 8. I didn't name this. I didn't name the header and the item. I didn't number the header and the item just because of the space there. So I think that is all. I'm done with this section. As you can see, I'm done with this section. So I will now come over to this section to see what we can do here. So here, what do we have here? And here I've identified this as my main section. So within my main section, ideally what I will have is within my main section, that is within this area. Notice that I have this component, then I have this, I have this. What I've been thinking of doing is I can decide to call. I'm just trying to look at it. I have three. What I'm just trying to. I think the best way. I think I need to make some adjustment here. I think what I can do is to. What if I want to move this to here? So that then I will now another. Then what? Then so that I now have something of this nature. So I'm trying to re-gig my component. I'm adjusting this component so that I know it will be so many nesting, but I think it's better to have so many. No, let's move back. Let me just think through this. Let's move back to this and see. Okay, I think this might be better so that we have. I think this is okay. I think this might be just be better. So we have the header, we have the okay. What I'm thinking of, this is a table. This is basically a table, and then we have the body of the table and we have the body of the table and the heading table header, table body and table header. So what we can do is to wrap. Let's see. Okay, what I'm trying to do is to let's see if I can just wrap. Okay, wrap. Okay. Let's bring this here, and then oh, and then take this. Yeah. So I think something of this nature, there's no easy way to do this. So now what I will now so within the main body, within the main section, within the main component, I have the header and then I have a table. So I think that's the way I want to do. I want to do main header and then main body. And now within the header, within the body, we have a table. Then you have table header and table bottom, table body. So that is within this main section. What I'm trying to say is within this main section, I have two components. What have I done? Within this main section, I have two components. I will call this the main. I have the header and the table. So I think I have the header component but main header. Recall that I have a head, I have a component that I've already called header, so I don't want to repeat that name. So what I can do is I will just say this is the main header, main section header. Or if you want to be very exhaustive, if you are not really panicking about the length of the name, you can call this main section header component. But you know, this thing can be too long. That's my always my worry. But if you want the main section header component, and then this will be the main section table component. So another thing is you might just, to follow the convention of header, body, and footer, you might say this is the header and this is the body. Then within the body you now have a table. Then but you will just be nesting. I don't like nesting too much. So that is what I'm trying to say, is that if this is what it might, if I want to follow the proper convention of the way I might decide to do this is the main section header, and this is the main section body component. Then within the body component, we have a table. This is the table component. Then within the table component, we have the table header. We have the table header component. And then we have the table body component. Then within the table body component, we now have the table item. So this is what I've done. I've said that within this, so basically what I did was I think I moved this. I just have a lot of nesting. So within this item, I have another. That is within this is the main body. Within this main body, I have another nest called the main table component. Then within this table component, I have another but the good thing about this is that what I'm trying to say is that I have something of this nature. Let me illustrate this here. So what I'm trying to say is that I have this component, and then within this component I have another component as well. I have this other, so this is my body component, main section body component. This is my now table component. But in some cases, if I'm going to use this table in multiple locations, then it is always good to abstract the table away. But if I'm going to use this table in only one component, then I could merge these two together. So these are some of the offset, the compromise you need to make. If I'm going to use this table, that is this section, in more than one page, then I don't want it I don't want to hard code it on this particular page. So I'll put it in a separate component that I can reuse. So I think that is basically what we might do. So because of that, we now have something of this nature. The main section body component, and then within the main section body component, we now have the table component. Within the table component, we have the table header component, and then the table body component. Within the table body component, we have this table item. Within the table body component, we have the table item. This is the row or table row. You see, you can call this table row, and then these are the columns of the table. I don't know, you might decide I prefer to do this, to arrange this in row. So this will be your line graph, and this will be your bar graph, and this will be your United States or you can call this GDP summary. GDP summary. And then this series, you can call this the series summary. And then you can call this editor, because this will allow you to edit this thing. So you can call this editor, I don't know. So let's try and do this before coming over to these sections. So within this, so let's see if we can clear this, and then we see. Let's just clear that and see where we are. So within the body table, we have our. This is now my. This will be. Let me darken this up. So what I'm saying is that within my table body, I have the table item. Then within the table item component, I have 4 other additional components. And the first one I've called this GDP Summary Component. GDP Summary Component. Then the second one is the Line Graph Component. And then we have the Bar Graph Component. Then we have our, then we now have the, we have, so another thing is, these two guys, these two guys, you see these two guys, this and this, I might decide, I will wrap them inside the component. That is the way I like to do it. So I will wrap these guys inside another component, so that, yeah, I will wrap this guy inside, because if I don't do it this way, it might be a big problem for me. I will wrap these guys inside another component. Yeah. Then what do I call that component now? This will be the item detail. It's under the detail. Notice that this is the detail. This is the detail. This is under detail, item detail. This will be your, okay, to use, because these are the names for all these columns. So I can call this the aggregate prediction. This is your prediction over time. This is your importance. This is your importance, name and status, or the importance component. So I think I've seen you can call this, because we have this component that I need to, okay, what I will do is, this will be, I will change this from line graph to prediction, because this is the name of this column. This is the name. Prediction is the name of this column. Aggregate prediction is the name of this column. Details is the name of this column. So, and importance, name and status is the name. So what I will do is I will just say, can we status, let's just use status component as all these, or the importance components, because importance is the first one they mentioned. So what that implies is that here I will change this name to importance. I will change this name to importance component, and then I will change this guy to prediction component, and then I will change this guy to aggregate prediction. Aggregate prediction component. Then this one, I will call this last one as my detail component. And then notice that within the detail component, that is to say, within this guy, I've called this component as my detail component. Within the detail component, I have this series detail and then editor. So I have this, the first one is the series detail, and then this is the editor. I just call this editor because you allow you to edit this or to archive this. You see, so I will come here. Within this, I have two additional components. I will call this my series detail component, and then I'll call this my editor component. So you can always ask the person that designed this interface to furnish you with all the correct names. So I think that is it. Remember that we need to put in all the number. I think that is it for this area. You see, that's the way to arrive at this. This is getting long now, as you can see. So what I can do is I can decide to move this. I can decide to move this to a different page, send to a different page. So this is that page here. So I can decide to also move this to a different page. Yes. Yes, so here. Okay, this is the main. Okay, which area do I need to do now? I've finished this. So let's come to this table header. Table header, we just have only prediction over time. We have only one additional component within table header. So this is my table header, and we have just one additional component called prediction over time component. This is a prediction over time component. Prediction spelling. I need to correct this spelling. This is the prediction over time component. Prediction over time component. I just want to run through this so that we can move over to creating a React application and just show you how to generate all this in a React application. Then within the main section header, we have open component. I'll call this open component. You know, it depends on, I don't really know. Open component, pending resolution, closed, sort by, and pagination. So let me just run through this because I think I don't want, the video seems to have gone too much. So within the main section header, this is the main section header here. This is the main section header. So within this main section header, I have 5 components to include. Let's just go straight to including those 5 components. And the first one is the open component, open status component. And then we have the pending resolution. And then I have the closed status component. And then I have the sort by. Then I have my pagination component. So I've identified all these components. Of course, the numbers, but I don't want to because this is gone too far. The video has gone a bit too long. So I don't want to overstretch the video. So I'm going to end this video now and then show you how to move this component into your React application. So that is what I want to do now. So in this video, what I did was having identified all my components from this interface design and having numbered them. So what I did was to try to move them to my mind map, at the same time provide their names. You see, that is basically what I did in this video, to move all the identified components to a mind map that shows all their names and their numbers. This is the way I like doing my work. You know, because if you are working for a client and you do things professionally like this, the client will respect your work and even pay you more. But at the same time, this is forming the documentation. This is also forming part of the documentation that you will submit to the client, because if you submit this as the component, you also submit this as the structure, the way all the components are nested, are composed together. You can see this is the header component. The header component is composed of the top component, the middle component, and the bottom component. The middle component is composed of the right section and the left section. The top component is composed of the user profile and the nav bar components. So this is the way you do it. This is the documentation that you will provide, you know, for the owner of the, let me see if I can, yeah, for the owner of the application. You see, this is the way to go about some of these things. So what I will do now is I will run through these, number them, and then I will now show you how to take this and create your React components based on these guys, a React component and Angular component based on these guys, based on what we have done now. You see, once I've come to this section, I can easily give this to a junior developer to continue working on. That's the way I like doing. And then I go and look for other important things to do. You know. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, bye.